Hey there everyone and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry Ray, the 9th volume of the Higurashi When They Cry series on Steam, and well, essentially the last one. But anyways, last time Rika found out that her mother in this world was the one who had the fragment, and now she must decide on whether she wants to stay in this world or kill her mother and go back to the old world. So let's push on, shall we? And Rika Furude. For Rika, this world was maybe I had 0 friends compared to my old world. That was very sad. But I could change that now, through time and effort. Maybe I was sad Keiichi wasn't here, but Keiichi was living a resolute life in the place he originally lived. Instead, I had Satoshi. He wasn't the same as Keiichi, but he was very kind and considerate. Even the club I was disappointed didn't exist could start the very next day, if I wanted it to. With the Hanyuu siblings, Mion, Rina, and me, and maybe my other classmates too? What would the club be like with so many people? I didn't think I'd be able to compare it to the fun we had with Keiichi and the rest. I knew I wouldn't be able to place one over the other. My parents were in this world, and I'd already learned how to interact with them as Rika Furude, who had regained the love of her family. My parents weren't in the previous world, but I had lively roommates that wouldn't leave me feeling lonely. Satoko and Hanyuu. If I chose this world, I'd have to say goodbye to Hanyuu, the friend I'd spent 100 years with. Friend? No. If what Hanyuu said was true, then she was my ancestor and a mother to me, which meant she was on the exact same level as my father and mother. She was my family. My parents and Hanyuu were both very important to me. I couldn't possibly weigh them against each other. That world is the ideal world, born of someone's dream. Nobody related to you has sinned. It's a very, very pure, clear, and beautiful world. I've already left that world, and Rika's life hasn't been corrupted. So I have no sin either. And you, Rika, you haven't corrupted your own life, so neither do you. Even Takano has no sin. Not a single person does. A perfect white blank world. That's right. And you can choose that now, Rika. Maybe this world is a valuable opportunity given to you at the end of your century-long journey by the god of fate, who even I've never met. They could have been a little more compassionate about it. Which is why that god gave you the chance to go back to your old world too. By committing the gravest sin of matricide, you can choose to release yourself from this sinless paradise. Hanyuu, you said your daughter killed you. What do you think of me repeating the act? If I were your mother, I would probably say this. If it made you happy, I would not spare my own life. It might be too early for you to understand, Rika. But it's a feeling only someone who has given birth to a child and become a mother could know. I was once a mother, so I understand. If you said going back to your old world would make you happy, your mother would gladly offer you her life. She couldn't. She's the one person who wouldn't ever say that. She'd just scream, "Are you crazy?" and go into hysterics. But then I remembered my mother's smile when we made curry together. Ugh. Not the curry thing, but kind of jumbled up words there. Would it be strange if such fearsome words came from her mouth? Like, fearsome. I don't regret my daughter killing me. Thanks to that, the sin she might have inherited was cleansed. If I had spared my own life, my daughter might have been persecuted. Same as me. But have you ever thought about what the daughter who killed you felt? It's easier to die, isn't it? You can wallow in devotion and virtue as you die peacefully, but the killer has to bear that cross forever. Didn't you say before, your daughter vowed to create a Hinamizawa where everyone wanted to help each other, all for your sake. And your daughter, over 1,000 years, went along with your sin. Maybe you shouldn't have died. I don't know what the sin you were bearing was, but you should have lived and fought. Fought so that your descendants wouldn't have to bear the sin. But you surrendered, and for 1,000 years, your descendants have been bearing your cross, right? Hanyuu was silent. That, without a doubt, was Hanyuu's sin. It was easy to die for her daughter's sake, but her daughter's guilt would never heal. But when Hanyuu answered, she remained undaunted. Then let me ask you, Rika, you, who say I should have lived and fought, what will you do now in that world? Do you wish to live in that world, accepting the reality you are in, and always fighting the oddities different from your old world? Will you abandon that world that you gained after 100 years, stained in grime and sweat, and yet still beautiful? She was right. Maybe this world was beautiful, but that didn't mean the way my old world shone wasn't beautiful too. Why wouldn't it be? We won that fate after such a long journey. And even now, you can call that world, which you gained at the end of a journey. And even now, you call that world, which you gained at the end of a century, your original world. So, however pleasant this world may be, shouldn't you throw it all away, fight away the desire to stay in this world, and return to your original one? Even if you had to destroy this world, liberated from the sins of all related to you? Urgh. My daughter, who tells me to fight? You, too, should fight. To fight is not to defeat and overcome the obstacles before you. In the end, there is no more than a simple detour on the straight path before you. To truly fight is to make your own choices. At every choice in life, at every crossroads, people hesitate. Having one choice brightly illuminated and then selecting it. Such a predetermined choice is not a fight. When no matter how many times you are presented with the choice, you choose the same one. It's inevitability. A real choice is when you think... a real choice is when you truly think and worry, when you never know which you should choose. It is precisely the same as the choice between the red box and blue box you spoke of once before. Will you choose the red box or the blue? To choose without guidance demands incredible courage and determination. That is a true choice. If you knew what was in the boxes, it would no longer be a choice. It is because you do not know what is inside that you can be satisfied with what is in the box you choose. If you knew the contents of the other, it could lead to despair. Being left at the crossroads with no guidance and no hints is what it means to live. You may lazily continue to choose the right, or knock over the sign and choose at random. You may also search carefully for hints, worrying over how beneficial the left or right would be, and remain at the crossroads forever. Thus, you would be able to accept the final result, weighing you as your own responsibility. Would you not? You would not grow old and go into your coffin wanting advice from your parents, would you? Worry, choose, and go forward. That is the fight. I earnestly worried and chose my own life. My daughters earnestly worried and chose their own lives. For each and every one of us, that is sacred. It is precious. The descendant 1,000 years later must not sully that. All who lived in that age were always beautiful. You must not speak of their lives using the values of later generations. Lastly, I'll tell you something very important. The Kamu no Mikoto no Ri's power that connects us will soon be lost forever. I will never again be able to interfere with that world. So this is the last night I'll be able to hear one of these helpful lectures. There's one more thing. The fragment that has appeared in your mother will lose its power forever when the sun sets tomorrow. Losing doesn't mean disappearing. It means you will forever lose the chance to take back the fragment with your own hands. Which means I need to make my decision about whether to go back to my original world by sundown tomorrow. There's no third option to put the choice off. No. You must also choose to flee the decision. Purposely ignore the last moment you have to choose and passively stay in that world. If you die, would you live that life differently than one you chose proactively? Whether or not I choose proactively was also whether or not I would accept this world. If I continued to live here without accepting it, I would drag along all the distress that I currently held forever. Compared to that, maybe it would be a lot better just to choose one or the other. But even that wasn't easy. Hanyuu said that very distress itself was the battle. Now, Rika, fight. Your fight will last until sundown tomorrow. But please, don't run away. Because whichever world you decide on, I know that world will be a wonderful one. Just like the world you gained after fighting for 100 years was. The world you choose after fighting through this will become wonderful, I'm sure of it. So please, Rika, you mustn't choose one without fighting. People are never, ever satisfied with the result of a choice they didn't struggle with. Thank you, Hanyuu. I'll fight with this choice. If I can meet you again, it will be in our original world. And if it's this world, then take a good rest to heal your millennium of exhaustion. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much. It was because of your strength that I mistook my own life for something I could do over as many times as I wanted. If that's who I am, then I feel like it would be strange, somehow, if I was living in my original world. It was easy for me to think that if I slipped up in any small way, I could just do it over. But that wouldn't make that world a wonderful one. In that sense, I understand just a little your sin of using your power on me when you shouldn't have. But that sin belongs to me too, for walking you through such an easy life. As we traveled all those worlds, I called it re-rolling the dice, treating my own life without respect. I think that this world taught me the weight of that decision. So at the end, being able to choose a wonderful world either way means I really am. Means I really am lucky, right? I have no doubt that I am the most fortunate person in all these worlds. Thank you, Hanyuu. Thank you for giving me your kind words until the very end, when I was just stupid and conceited. I'll worry over this with everything I have. I'll worry and worry and worry, and grasp a really, really wonderful world. So thank you, Hanyuu. Hanyuu, please answer me. Ooh. The crystal ball was now quiet and cold in my hands, and gave off only a dull reflection of the flashlight that illuminated me. I shed all the tears I could. I thought if I didn't, I would hesitate when it came time to choose, so I cried out everything I had. And I thanked her for our 100-year relationship, because depending on my choice, I might never get to say those words again. Then I replaced the crystal ball on the altar, where it was now just a marble, slipped out of the storehouse, and crawled back into bed. There was no way I was going to sleep. At least, that was what I thought, until I wrapped myself in linens, felt the cool wind on my bare feet, and drifted off to sleep without realizing it. Rika Faraday was going to sleep. I was going to sleep. Good night, everyone. Good night. Me. And the sun rose again on another wonderful day for Rika Faraday. She took her first step, her first small effort, to become friends with her classmates again. And at home, she was wrapped in her parents' love, and the sun brightening her wonderful day fell behind the mountains and disappeared. Long, long ago, there was a god who appeared before mankind. Bread rained down from the heavens. Some lamented that it was not meat. Meat rained down from the heavens. Some lamented they preferred bread. God descended down from the heavens. Until I know what will make all happy, water shall rain down. Water rained down from the heavens. All lamented that their clothes grew wet. Fire rained down from the heavens. All lamented that their homes were burned down. God descended from the heavens. Until I know what will make all happy, nothing shall rain down. Nothing rained down from the heavens. Some lamented that God had abandoned them. Many things rained down from the heavens. Some lamented that God would not make a choice. Huge rocks rained down from the heavens. At long last, there was none that lamented, I think. Water rained down from the heavens. A passing... Yeah, I couldn't catch up. Ooh. Hmm? Do you know who I am, Rika-chan? Me? Yes. Where am I? After hearing that answer, the nurse burst out of the room in sheer surprise. How rude. Where's Dr. Irie? Call him at once. Tell him Rika-chan has come too. Oh, she's back at home. I mean, her original world. My head hurts. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Do you remember what happened? Me? Is this the clinic? Yes. While you were heading back to Hinamizawa with your friends, you had an accident and hit your head, and never woke up again. We feared your consciousness would never return. Thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. Irie even had a few tears in his eyes as he spoke. I was still just a little scared. I wanted to make sure this was the world I knew so well, so I mustered my courage and asked Irie. Yes, all your friends were incredibly worried about you. Satoko-chan, of course, and my Bara-kun, and Mion-san, and Rina-san. Unfortunately, Satoshi-kun still hasn't reached a state where he can wake up yet. And my mother? Your memories must still be a little confused. That happens when you've been unconscious for a long time. Is she dead? Yes, she died 2 years ago, on the day of Watanagashi. Were you dreaming of your mother while you were asleep? Thank you. I'm fine now. Knowing that my mother is dead gives me a complex feeling. But there wasn't any doubt that this was the world I knew so well. And according to Irie, it had been a little over a month since the accident. After telling me he'd be right back, he scrambled out of the room. Left in my hospital room, filled with the voices of cicadas, I could do nothing but wander through my vague memories for a time. I was fooling around on my bike while heading home from playing at the pool with everyone and got hit by a car, right? But the world I awoke to after that is still vivid in my mind. And if this is my original world, then after grappling with that difficult choice, I chose my old world and safely ended my long journey to return to it? Or was that all just a long dream I had, like Irie said, while I was in a coma from the accident? I didn't know. Hanyuu, are you there? Yay. That's good. Waking up in that world and not seeing you straight away was really disheartening. Has something like that ever happened? I've always been the first one you saw whenever you woke up, Rika. Hanyuu spoke to me while wearing an affectionate expression. But her saying that at length just makes me remember the world of just a few moments ago. Because for the first time, Hanyuu wasn't there when I woke up. Hanyuu? That world, was it a dream? Or was it real? I don't really understand what you're saying, Rika. Did something happen? Are you serious? Rika, I don't understand what you're talking about. Was Hanyuu playing dumb, or was she telling the truth? I couldn't tell. Then, what was that world I was just in? A dream? A dream. Wow, I was right. If I remember correctly, it was like either a coma, which, I mean, technically you dream when you're in a coma, or I think that's what it was that I thought. Or it was an alter reality. I don't remember what I said. But anyways, Hanyuu answered immediately, and hearing that convinced me that sinless world was no dream. Then I killed her with my own hands. My mother had the fragment. I shouldn't have been able to return to my original world without killing her. If I was here, that meant I killed her. And then, after I killed her, I had to kill myself, like usual, to send myself to the world of the gods. And conveniently, when I die, it goes back through my memories right before the event and tears them apart. So it was only natural that my memories of personally killing my mother didn't remain. Trembling, I looked at the palms of my hands. They were pure white, pale and bloodless. No, that was just it. That alone made me remember the feeling. Spread my hands. That alone made me remember the feeling. Spread across my hands. That warm, sticky, slimy sensation. Ah! My fragment welled up inside me. Something inside me was desperately holding back the memories of that alien world. Crying out for some reason, desperately holding them back. Because if they spilled out, they would surely swallow me whole. Rika, you need to calm down. What the hell is wrong with her eyes? Hanyuu put her hand up to my forehead, and I felt as though something was grabbing my lungs in a fist. A sense of suffocation, like something was squeezing the breath out of me. But it was squeezing those feelings about to swallow me up too, and they couldn't come up any further. In exchange for the choking sensation, I gulped down the rising emotions, beginning to steadily regain my composure. Hanyuu realized it and took her hand away. Gah! Gah! I don't know. Have you calmed down? You were asleep for a long time, so you must be confused. You should do as Irie says for a while. Take your medicine and get some bed rest. Hanyuu, wait, tell me. Was that world... Look, everyone's arrived. I'll only be in the way, so I'll disappear for a while. Hanyuu! I started to hear many footsteps running down the hallway. Hanyuu whirled around, as though pivoting on her heel, and vanished. In exchange, the hospital door clattered violently open, and my beloved club members... and my beloved club member friends appeared. Rika! Rika! Satoko! Hey, Satoko. Rika-chan just woke up. You shouldn't be hugging her. It's okay, Keiichi-kun. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Clinging to me, Satoko fell to her knees on the spot and started bawling without hesitation. Welcome back, Rika-chan. We had faith you'd come back to us. Yeah, because when we all believe in one thing, a miracle is sure to happen. That's how we beat Takano-san in that crazy battle, right? Because we all believed in a miracle. Everyone believed that you'd come back for sure, Rika-chan. We came to visit every day. We knew for sure you'd wake up, so we came every day. Oh, thank goodness. Coach says your memories are a little muddled. You didn't forget about this old man and the rest of us, right? I know who Satoko and Rina and Keiichi are, but I don't know who you are, me. Nipa! I guess you're alright. This was something I couldn't ever have asked before. But just to make absolutely sure this was really my original world, I asked anyway, pretending my memory was still confused. Is Satoshi not coming? Satoko gave a somewhat lonely smile and spoke. Nini still hasn't come back after running away 2 years ago, remember? Rika, you can be so forgetful. Her expression makes my chest tighten. She was definitely the Satoko from my original world. I see. Your memories do seem a little confused. He said it wouldn't last, and that it was nothing to worry about. It's the same as when you get a phone call that wakes you up and say strange things while half asleep. Yeah. I mean, you were sleeping for almost a month, after all. This whole month, I felt like I was having a dream. Oh, having a fabulous time, I'm sure, in spite of how worried we were. It was a very mysterious world, I think. It was Hinamizawa, just like here, but a bunch of things were different. First of all, Keiichi wasn't here. Hey, what? Why'd you have to leave me out? Because in that world, the incident with the gun didn't happen. In that world, you didn't have all those regrets. No, that wasn't it. All it was. I realized this world would be my only chance to confess to my own sin. Everyone listened as I told them all about that world. Whenever some small thing was different, they'd respond one way or the other about it. But they listened to me seriously. So the reason I'm here is because I weighed that world and this one, and chose this world, I think. You probably saw the other side of the River Styx, like a near-death experience. If you had chosen that world, you probably wouldn't have come back here. Yes, if I chose that one, I don't think I would have returned. We all believed you would come back. We all believed you'd come back, Rika-chan. And you believed it too. So that means our hands reached each other. I think you were doing your best to come back to us while you're asleep. What a good girl. Keiichi grinned and patted my head, but it seemed like he was mistaking what I meant. Like usual, I guess. I hadn't returned. I'd compared that world and this one, and chose this one. Why had I chosen this world? Because this one was Because this one was more comfortable to be in. Satoko was always with me. Everyone in the club was here, and they were nice to me and spoiled me. But all that was still a world built on top of everyone's sins and misfortune. In other words, I had chosen to sacrifice the others for my own happiness. Shamelessly, self-centeredly, and selfishly. Everyone was fulfilled in that world. Only I wasn't. But I knew that I, too, could be happy there if I put in the hard work. But at the very end, I had chosen this world. I chose the world where I could rest on my laurels, atop of the suffering and tears of my friends. That sounds like a very interesting world. Thank you. You wanted us all to be happy, even if it was just a dream. Rena smiled as she said that. Only she seemed to understand what I really meant by what I'd said. But, if I got the chance to choose between those two worlds, I think this world would have been the right choice. But why? It's true that my mother's divorce was really sad for me. It changed a lot, but thanks to that, I learned a lot too. So the Reina in the other world you talked about So the Reina in the other world you talked about probably isn't as human as this Reina is. You thought I was an exemplary person, even as Reina in your dream, but when I was actually Reina, I wasn't a very respectable person. What I mean is, when my mother got divorced, it was really hard and sad for me, but now I can accept it. Since maybe it was just one of the trials a person has to go through in their life. It's true that the trials of life, of failure, make a person grow. Yeah, I get what Rina means too. I didn't go to Hinamizawa in that world, but I was probably a total loser. I regret that incident more than anything I've ever done, and I won't forget it as long as I live. I'll probably have to reflect on it until the day I die. But like Rina said, thanks to that incident, I learned a lot of important lessons. Thinking about whether there was a world where I could be... Thinking about whether there was a world where I could make it so past incidents never happened might be attractive. But I don't think about that stuff. I think they're all important But I don't think about that stuff. I think they're all important foundations that pile up to make the Keiichi Maibara here today. Oh, but that goes for me as well. I was a spoiled child before, and I would have stayed that way as long as Nini was here. Having a world where Nini would never leave home is indeed an attractive invitation. But staying with him and continuing to be a spoiled child would mean nothing. So I would choose this world, because now I can be proud of myself and wait for Nini to return. Do you all really think that? I worried so much, thinking I had to erase my sin. And now you're rejecting the choice of a beautiful world where those sins don't exist? Yep. I think this world is more valuable. But why? Because the future of this world was something we all worked together to achieve. The people in that world were just idling their time away, right? Idling away? But is living without sin a sin in itself? It's not. But this one is still more valuable. I think the flowers grow up in a greenhouse without difficulty are beautiful, sure. But maybe wildflowers that withstand the rain and wind and heat and cold have something more to them than beauty. I'm only talking about how important that is. Is there a reason to be ashamed of a beat-up wildflower? But if you ask it to choose whether to grow up in a greenhouse or a field... Oh, I get it. That's what you've been getting wrong all along, Rika-chan. Beep? We're all wildflowers that sprouted in the field, aren't we? Once you've bloomed, there's no point in comparing them to an impossible imaginary future. Rika-chan, you're taking from the point of view of something higher than a flower, something not human. Which of those two worlds is happier? The only ones that can debate that are the gods. who can go... Ugh. The only ones that can debate that are the gods who can go between those worlds. But for the human named Rika-chan, there's only one world. Wait. I mean, you're in both worlds, but you can't go between them. The wildflower you and the greenhouse you both exist. And I think both of them are living proudly, following the destiny of their worlds. The wildflower saying things like, I wouldn't have struggled with anything if I grew up in a greenhouse. Doesn't make sense to begin with. We're all flowers. Wherever we plant our roots and sprout, we do our best to grow and bloom. Wishing you were born in a super rich family is what losers say in their sleep. If you have time to fantasize, you should start putting in effort and find a cheap supermarket so you can save up change. Yeah, Satoko is proud of herself, so even if there was a world where she was super rich, I think you could compare them and not find either of them to be worse than the other. Now, I must say, if I had to choose, I'd prefer to be super rich. I wonder, Rika-chan, are you still having second thoughts, even after waking up in this world? Like, whether this was really the right choice? Are you thinking that maybe the other one would have been good too? Those words were probably the root of these cheerless feelings. I love this world, but I couldn't help but be troubled given the depth of my own sin of abandoning that world and insisting everyone else be sinners. Shouldn't I have chosen that world for the sake of everyone I loved? They've unanimously decided that... They've unanimously decided this world was better, but in a way, it was just acceptance, since they hadn't been granted the choice of selecting one of the two. That was why everyone thought positively and went with this world. If they could have actually chosen, they'd all be conflicted too. It must be hard work. So that's why the sadness deep down won't heal, Rika-chan. And yet, only Rina seemed to have figured everything out. I know. I'll explain it to you like a game, so that you can understand too, Rika-chan. Mi-chan, you brought candy with you today, right? Huh? Sure. Why? What was she going to do? Rina? Then Rina grabbed it with both her hands and stuck them out toward me. Here, Rika-chan. It's a present. I wonder which of these hands is better. Which is? Meep! You won't make me play a punishment game if I guess wrong, will you? Huh? There's nothing like that. Don't worry, just choose. Even considering how we usually did club games, there really were no hints at all. I look at the size of Rina's fist, but I couldn't guess. I looked at the size of Rina's fist, but I couldn't begin to guess which had the candy in it. Oh, whatever. Time to test my luck. Then I choose this fist. This one? Here. Rina opened her fist and revealed candy. I must have made the right choice. Ha 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 ha! Congratulations. Here, say ah! 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 Is it good? It was the standard but nostalgic taste of strawberry milk. As it shrunk, as I rolled it around in my mouth and sucked on it, I couldn't help but give a smile. It's good. Nipa! Are you happy? Then Rika-chan's world is happy. I'm really happy that I won your choice game. Victory is sweet. Oh? Hey, Rika-chan. Why did you think you won? Me. Rika showed me her other palm, the one I didn't choose. Ah! In her hand, she was holding 2 pieces of candy. In other words, the one I chose was wrong. At that moment, and this was really obvious, but I immediately realized how merry I had been feeling. That feeling right now is close to how you're feeling about this, isn't it? As soon as you compare different worlds, you're already overstepping your bounds as a person. It's God's job to worry over which is better, not ours. We only ever have one world given to us, and we're made so that we can find happiness in it. In your dream, Rika-chan, you were a god who could go between 2 worlds, which made you feel like that. But you can't worry about it. But you can't worry about what was in my other hand. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop here. This should be done next time. Because I have no idea how much is left. Anyways, next time we will end this portion of Volume 9 next time. But until then, everybody, goodbye! Nippa!